This is Optimal Startup Daily Episode 375, Relating Over Investing, Why Networking is Not a Useful Verb, by Helene Massicotte of freetopursue.com. And I'm your narrator and host here. My name is Dan, and this is where I read to you every single day, including weekends and holidays, from some of the best blogs on entrepreneurship. And with that, let's get right to our post for today as we start optimizing your life. Relating Over Investing, Why Networking is Not a Useful Verb, by Helene Massicotte of freetopursue.com. I can't stand the term networking. Never have and hopefully never will. It's a term and verb that makes me shudder. It carries with it connotations of using others for the sole purpose of getting ahead. It makes me think of little other than selfishness and self-importance. Do I think we need to meet new people? Of course. But spending time with people we don't like or don't want to know just because we think they'll help us get ahead is not what I would call time well spent. Rethinking the concept of time well spent. I would much rather spend time with people I think I will get along with, could help or learn from or with, could have fun with, would like to have by my side and vice versa, can relate to, and can care for on the most basic level. The difference between that list and the word networking is that it considers the humanity involved in any and all relationships, from the passing to the casual to the most intimate. We can behave transactionally with anything that doesn't have a sense of self, like inanimate objects, organizations, even our environment to some extent. But when we behave this way toward other beings, it costs us by decreasing our quality of life. True connection outweighs short-term gains. Not considering others leads to negative energy for both parties. How we feel about ourselves and others has a great deal to do with whether we believe the exchange is considerate. That is, that we consider the parties involved with the most basic level of human decency. If we feel our thoughts, needs, and feelings are being considered, and that we're also being considerate on all these levels, the exchange is positive. However, if there's an imbalance of any type, the exchange is negative, or at best, somewhat neutral. Only positive exchanges are likely to lead to either or both parties seeking each other out for future interaction. Magnetism personified. I guess we're a bit like magnets. Our interactions have the power to bring us together again, have a neutral effect, or a repulsive effect. That's why I love warm introductions. That's when a friend or acquaintance of yours introduces you to someone they think you might get along with. You're essentially tapping into the positive energy that already exists between them as opposed to having to establish it from scratch. These introductions respect our human nature. They respect the way communities form, evolve, and grow. Rethinking the purpose of the business card. I think most of us can appreciate how ineffective business card swapping up front is compared to the exchange of business cards after having participated in a conversation that makes us want to not lose touch with the other person. The resulting feelings of attachment in the latter exchange mean that whenever we come across that business card or that person's information in our contacts, we feel good about it and may want to connect just because, or want to consider him or her in upcoming projects or events. We want that positive feeling of interacting again with someone we feel connected to in a positive way. That's why I enjoy going to conferences when I know so many friends and friendly acquaintances will be there. In fact, my favorite conference is a conference I don't consider to be one, FinCon. It's a conference for personal finance and lifestyle bloggers and vloggers, and many of the folks in attendance, myself included, have the following approach when connecting with others. Relationship first, business second. And that business part, not a requirement. This approach is priceless because it gets rid of the gee, what's in it for me attitude that does nothing more than keep people apart, thanks to the calculated aloofness that accompanies most initial business interactions and negotiations. Instead of walking around like peacocks, trying to look like hot so others will take note, many of the attendees at this conference tend to trade putting on airs for a wish to be curious about and open to discussing things like what others are up to, what makes others tick, how they might be able to help others out while expecting nothing in return, well, other than that warm, fuzzy feeling that comes from being a nice person. Of particular importance at this conference is that first-timers are less likely to feel like outsiders as much as in other settings. There are always first-time jitters, of course, but folks who have attended each and every year seem just as likely to lend an ear and hear your story as the hopeful and somewhat disoriented first-timer. I would say that this type of helpful, open approach is exceedingly rare at conferences, indeed in business in general. Quite the paradox, really, since we seem to understand its power in most other aspects of life. That's why I find it so hard to get my mind around it. On being a decent, approachable person. It seems so illogical. We never call the following networking: being introduced to a friend of a friend because you bump into each other while out and about. That's just called being polite. Getting recommended by a mutual acquaintance because the other person is in need of the type of service or services you offer. The mutual acquaintance simply sees it as a way to help both parties out, because it just feels good. A business owner making a suggestion about other businesses you might be interested in purely because you shared what it is you're trying to accomplish and they want to help you out, because that just feels good too. Suggesting a restaurant to a friend because you like the atmosphere and think they'd enjoy it, because you enjoy being thoughtful. Or a conversation that results from allowing someone with a few items in hand to go ahead of you at the supermarket checkout, because you're a reasonable, considerate human being. The fact that FinConners, as I like to call us, get it, makes this a conference I affectionately describe as a non-conference conference. It also makes it the one and only conference I've attended 4 times now, and that I plan to attend again later this year. I'm looking forward to seeing my friends again in 7 months' time, and just as important, I'm looking forward to making even more of them, because that's what makes the experience so rewarding. We're supposed to only worry about the potential return on investment in business, right? The ROI? At least that's what my business education has always taught me. Well, instead of the term return on investment, I suggest we focus on our relating over investment ratio, because if we worry about the former, the latter happens effortlessly, and that makes us all better off over the long term. You just listened to the post titled Relating Over Investing: Why Networking is Not a Useful Verb by Helene Massicotte of freetopursue.com. Thank you to Shopify, which is more than an online store. It's a way to connect with your customers, drive sales, and manage your day-to-day. Scaling your business is a journey of endless possibility, and Shopify is here to help, giving entrepreneurs the resources once reserved for big business, so upstarts, startups, and established businesses alike can sell everywhere, synchronize online and in-person sales, and effortlessly stay informed. I love how Shopify has the tools and resources that make it easy for any business to succeed, from down the street to around the globe. Reach customers online and across social networks with an ever-growing suite of channel integrations and apps, including Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and more. Plus, gain insights as you grow with detailed reporting of conversion rates, profit margins, and beyond. More than a store, Shopify grows with you. This is Possibility, powered by Shopify. Go to shopify.com/OSD, all lowercase, for a free 14-day trial and get full access to Shopify's entire suite of features. Grow your business with Shopify today. Go to shopify.com/OSD right now. Shopify.com/OSD. And thank you to Helene. She is featured across a bunch of our shows, actually, pretty much all of them, but most often on Optimal Living Daily and Optimal Finance Daily, so please do check out those shows for more posts from her. Helene chose to leave her corporate life in her mid-30s, finding herself constantly preoccupied and unappreciative and not taking care of herself. She jumped into blogging to show others how working just for a paycheck isn't worth it, that we can be free to pursue what we want in life and have the means to get there with less effort than one might think, hence the name of her site, which again is freetopursue.com. She's read a ton of books and draws from her extensive knowledge there, but also her life experience in lots of areas, and she is really a pleasure if you get to meet her in person, which we have done at the personal finance conference, FinCon. So come by her site to show her some support. Again, that's freetopursue.com. And thank you to Helene for letting us share her content across all of our shows for years now. All right, I think that is going to do it for me today. Hope you're having a great weekend, and thanks so much for being here for the Sunday show. And I'll see you back here tomorrow to start off the week on the right foot, and that's where your optimal life awaits.